This is really interesting to hear from Zachary Levi, who came out leaning, I don't want to say conservative, because he's definitely more about the MAHA, so the Make America Healthy Again thing, and he was really for RFK. Now, he is got an ambitious goal to make it's a real estate development. He's not calling it that. It's a real estate development where he is going to have movie studios, other types of artistic spaces. I'm sure he'll have music studios and, other things. You can check out his website. He's going to get into more detail on it. But he's also going to include, he wants schools, he wants houses, he wants retail shops, he wants to make his own little city in Wildwood. So he says here, actually, you could just listen to him.
What I'm building at Wildwood is not just a movie studio. It's also a living community. It's hospitality. It's schools for our kids. When I was 19, I'm looking at the future. I'm looking at all of these people that I knew that were older and had kids, and they were all getting shipped off to all these different places to save the money, to save the studio's money for like filming incentives and whatever it was. But when they would do that, because traditionally everything was shot in LA, so you didn't really have to leave. And then all of a sudden, all of these filming incentives start popping up, and you're having to look at your spouse and your kids and be like, hey, I love you, but I'm going to see you in 2 months because I got to go live out here now. And the amount of marriages that broke up because of that, the amount of community that gets broken up because of that. I think that to be able to create an environment where I can wake up, I can walk my kid to a school that, by the way, is actual education and not indoctrination. And then I can drop them off and I can walk to work. And then I can coordinate our work schedule and his school schedule so that I can meet up with him at lunch and we can throw ball and we can talk about what are you learning at school today. And then I can go back to work and he can go back to school and we can have a true community, a true ecosystem of differing opinions, differing lifestyles, but everybody agreeing on certain tenets. Like the people that live at Wildwood, part of the HOA would be, hey, no child who lives at Wildwood is allowed to have a smartphone before 16. End of story.
He wants to have like an HOA where everybody kind of decides to live by the same standards, which is cool if you can agree on it. Problem is, most people fight. But in his point of view, it would be like, okay, well, in the bylaw, he says no child who lives at Wildwood is allowed to have a smartphone before 16, which I like that. I've always, even before I had my first son, have said that I was going to do, because I would watch my cousins being raised and my, aunts and uncles, they gave them a smartphone when they were 10, 11 years old. And they thought that, oh, well, it doesn't have phone access, they can't get into trouble. Well, it doesn't, and they aren't able to call people on a phone number, but you just gave them access to the entire world. They had no idea what they were doing. And I think it really, it's done a number of things to them. They are definitely in Gen Z category. They don't socialize the way they're supposed to. They don't think about other people the way they're supposed to. We know that there have been studies that suggest that smartphone use and apps like Instagram and recording videos of yourself so much and comparing yourself to other people tends to develop a streak of narcissism. Not good. But also, even longer than that study that was done, we know that phone access is very risky. Even before there were phones, there was internet. So the same risks apply. Talking to strangers on the internet, that can get you in trouble. You can get into child trafficking, things like that. But also just bullying from other people. Bullying from people that you don't even know. And young minds they are not prepared for that. They believe that, they don't just believe it, feels like the whole world is against them and that their life is just nothing when someone is just bullying you to the fullest extent. No, kids under 16 should not have phones. That's what I think. The vast majority of parents today are not doing that. They just hand over these phones to kids, and it's tragic what happens. It really is. It's tragic that I take my kids to the park to try and make friends, but if you're a parent today and you've gone to a park, chances are that the kids aren't there. When the children are under before kindergarten, you still get the parents, the moms, will bring their kids to the park in the morning. So you see the little ones. But once they got older, things changed. Nobody was at the park. There was nobody to play with. I remember turning to my husband and saying, where are all the kids? Because when I was growing up, there was always people at the park. There were always kids at the park. And I didn't even think about it. But my husband said, well, they're at home playing video games. And I was like, well, we had video games too when I was growing up, but we would go out and we would play, and then we would come home and stay up too late playing video games before we had to get up and go to school in the morning. I don't know. The phone thing, the video games, the phone, you can't just hand your kids these things all the time. It really messes with their development really badly. And I think that the parents that care will not give the kids a phone, will not give them a tablet, except on special occasions, long car rides, sure. But free access to a phone before 16, that's just... On the one hand, I don't agree with the HOA thing. On the other hand, kids should not have free access to phones before 16. It's just, to me, it would be common sense, but it doesn't seem so common these days.